Hello and welcome. Welcome to Heal Yourself and Your Destiny. I am Aadetee and we are here for book reading session of international bestseller book Rules of Life. It is a personal code for living a better, happier, more successful kind of life. So quickly we will recap. Hello Jayasriyal. Quickly, we will recap from the rule number one. Rule number one is keep it under your hat. Don't preach, propagate, even mention this. Rule number two, you will get older but not necessarily wiser. Wisdom is not about making mistakes, but about learning to escape afterwards with our dignity and sanity intact. Hello, Charmwell. Name of the book is Rules of Life by Mr. Richard Templar. Now it is clear. Rule number three. Accept what is done is done. What is done, and you need to just get on with things. We cannot keep brooding on the past or what has not been done properly in our favor. We just can learn our lessons and move on in our life. Okay. Rule number four, accept yourself. You don't have to improve or change or strive for perfection. Quite the opposite. Just accept yourself as you are, and then we can build upon that. Rule number five, know what counts and what does not. There are some things in this life that are important and a whole lot of things that are not. Dedicate your rule number six, dedicate your life to something. It's a yardstick to measure A, how I am doing, B, what I am doing, and C, where I am going. Rule number seven, be flexible in your thinking. Try to see life not as enemy but as a friendly sparring partner. Rule number eight, take an interest in the outside world. Taking an interest in the outside world is about developing you rather than for the world's benefit. Hello, sugar and spice. Be on the side of the angels, not the beast. We get torn between what we want and what is good for others. Rule number 10, only dead fish swim with the stream, and that's what life is, what it is meant to be, a series of struggles and lulls. Okay, so we are starting with today's rule number 11. Rule number 11 is be the last to raise your voice. For me, this is really hard one. I do love to have a good shout. I came from a big, robust family where shouting was a way of life and the only way to get yourself heard, get any attention, or to make a point. Dysfunctional? Yes. Noisy? Yes. Helpful? Probably not. One of my sons has inherited the shouting gene and he is very good at it. The temptation is to join in. Luckily, this rule is be the last to raise your voice. So I do have a get out clause. If he shouts first, I am allowed to shout back. But I do try really hard not to. For me, shouting in any form is a bad thing, a sign that I have lost control, lost the argument. The son of a vicar once saw his father's sermon notes, and in the margin he had penciled, shout here, argument weak. I think this is just about sums it up all. But I have shouted at various times, and invariably I regret each and every occasion. I know I have dined out on the time I was very shouty in a well known high street electrical chain over a damaged video player. At that time, I did get my own way, but the reality is that it was a bad thing, and deep down, I am quite ashamed of myself. Shout here, argument weak. So, what do you do if you too have inherited the shouty gene like me? I find that I have to walk away to stop the inevitable decline into shouting in a challenging situation. Tough one, especially if you know you are right. There are so many things that makes us shout, so many situations where we feel that a judicious loss of temper will get us our own way. But we are dealing with real life humans. We are dealing with real life human beings who have their own feelings, and shouting is not justified, even if they start it first. There are two situations where people lose their temper: justified and manipulative. The first is where you run over their foot with your car and refuse to apologize or acknowledge you have done anything wrong. In this situation, they are allowed to shout. The second situation is where people use anger to get their own way, a sort of emotional blackmail. You are allowed to ignore them or be assertive to control the situation. You are not allowed to shout back because we are a rules player. Be the last to raise your voice. I know, there are all sorts of situations where shouting seems appropriate. The dog is stealing the Sunday dinner, the kids won't tidy their room, your computer has crashed again, and the repair department won't fix it quickly enough. The local hooligans are adorning your wall again. After going through the umpteen options over and over again, you fail to get through to the switchboard after holding for 20 minutes. They put up the close sign just as you get to the counter. Someone is clearly being stupid and deliberately choosing to misunderstand you. And on and on and on. But if you take this rule as a simple, I don't do shouting, it becomes an easy benchmark to stick to. You get known as someone who is incredibly calm no matter what is happening. Calm people get trusted. Calm people get relied upon. Calm people get looked up to and given responsibility. Calm people last longer. I will repeat the last paragraph once again, and on and on and on. But if you take this rule as a simple, I don't do shouting, it becomes an easy benchmark to stick to. You get known as someone who is incredibly calm no matter what is happening. Calm people get trusted. Calm people get relied on. Calm people get looked up to and given responsibility. Calm people last longer. So now we will move to rule number 12. Rule number 12 is be your own advisor. Deep down within all of us is a fount of wisdom. This is called intuition. Listening to your intuition is a slow learned process. It starts by recognizing that tiny inner voice or feeling that will tell you when you have done something you should have not. It's an incredibly still, quiet voice and needs silence and concentration to hear it properly. To begin with, you might like to call it your conscience if you like, but deep down you know when you have done something bad. You know when you have got to apologize, make amends, put things right. You know, and I know you know. I know because we all know. There's no getting away from it. You know, and I know, you know, I know, because we all know. Once you start listening to that inner voice or feeling the feeling, you will find it can help. It will become more than a mindless parrot perched on your shoulder, chanting, "You messed up again." After the event, the key is when you hear your intuition telling you whether something is right thing to do or not before you do it. Try running stuff past your inner you before doing things and see what reaction you get. Once you get used to it, you will find it easier. Imagine in any situation that you have a small child standing at your side and you have to explain things to them. Imagine they ask questions. Why are you doing that? What's right and wrong? Should we do this? And you have to answer. Only in this situation, you ask the question and you answer yourself. And you will find you already know everything there is to know and everything you will ever need to know. I'll repeat this line again, and you will find you already know everything there is to know and everything you will ever need to know. Listen, and it's all there. If you are going to trust any advisor, who will it be? It makes sense for it to be you because you have all the facts, all the experience, all the knowledge at your fingertips. No one else has. No one can get inside you and see exactly what's going on. Quick point of clarification here. When I say listen, I don't mean listen to what goes on in your head. Now, that really is where madness lies. No, I mean a stiller, quieter voice. For some, it's more a feeling than a voice. When we sometimes call gut, what we sometimes call gut instinct. And even if it is a voice, a lot of time it doesn't speak at all, unlike our mind which babbles on incessantly. And if it does, you can miss it in the torrent of words that our mind produces. This is not about predicting what's going to happen. You won't discover which horse will win in at 3:30 at Chepstow or you will score in the cup finale. No, this is the important stuff. What we are about to do, big decisions we have to make, why we are behaving in the way we are. You already know the answers if you ask yourself. So, guys, this is it for today's session. We have covered the 12 rules so far. If you have anything to ask, you can just write it down in the chat and I will try to answer your questions. Anyone, if they would like to ask anything? Okay, so I will consider that we should end this session now. Thank you everyone for being there. Thank you for joining us. Have a nice day.